good friend of the podcast, Davina, tweeted saying it's going to be 6 managers in 6 years. What an effing joke. I don't know why I'm saying effing. We swear on this pod all the time. But she said, what an effing joke. She's referring to Ange Postecoglou and Spurs. So let's start there. I don't know how I feel about this because I think Spurs are in the West Ham situation where you might be wishing for something that is not what you're prepared for and or ready for. And therefore, I think getting rid of Ange is effectively more problems than the situation they're in now.
I think if I may add my point, I think Ange he doesn't look like he will ever take Spurs to where they want to be. He's sort of like they'll get some good games and they'll go, oh look, this is great fun, great football. But I just don't think he's the type of manager that will put it this way, like your Arteta's slot, your Maresca's now, your Guardiola. These are elite level managers, and even if they don't have the squad, you can see them moving towards it. From the start, I never saw something with Ange that I thought there were always holes. Even when they were really good, there were things you look at Spurs and went, they get transitioned on. He's so stubborn on when they play at the halfway line every game. And it's not, to me, it's not like something that if he persists eventually, it will just get better. It's just a weakness in his style, I think. And I don't know. I just don't think he's the guy. And when things get toxic with Ange, he seems to just sulk. I didn't watch the post match conference today, but I think that's a really bad trait and something that's really easy for the fans to get onto you. Because if you've got a manager, I'll speak on Arteta. When we were shit, he said, "My chest is here, hit me." And just goes like this in the press conference. He goes, "Mate, I just don't know what happened, mate."
That's so rude. That's so rude.
I will say on your last point, James, I do agree with that. I do agree with you, but before I go back to your first point, I think that does go a long way. Like your attitude when you're winning versus when you're losing. I think when he first came, I think the English press was like, "Oh, he's a breath of fresh air." Like I love his attitude. He's such an uppity guy. Like he's very sincere and honest in interviews. And I was like, it felt all like a little bit like when the tide is with him, he's a bit happy. When it's against him, I just don't like his attitude. I think you're seeing that now. But on your first point, I think with all things, I think there's a lot of nuance with Ange. The one thing is you said if Spurs go where they want to go, right? And I think Spurs fans have this idea of where they want to go, and that's to compete with City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and win these leagues, win these trophies, right? But I think if you're going to have Daniel Levy at your club, Spurs are just not going to be that. I think the bigger issue is Levy. Yeah. Like, they are never going to be what me and you said as like, if where they want to go, what Spurs fans say where they want to go. Levy doesn't think like that. I don't think he has the ambition that Spurs fans have. So with that in mind, I don't think that Ange is the biggest problem with Spurs. I think he is a very stubborn manager. I think for some reason he seems to think that when you're winning 2-0 and in game you change your philosophy, he thinks for some reason that means you've changed your entire footballing philosophy. Neville said something.
Yeah, I thought it was mad today.
It's insane.
The way he was playing it 2-0 up, I was like, bro, why? You're just giving Chelsea a chance to get back into the game. You scored the first, and then we all watched, and it felt so inevitable that Chelsea were going to get back into that game. It was a matter of when, not if. And the fact that you feel like that when a team is 2-0 up is so bad.
So Gary Neville,
you know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go on.
Yeah. So Gary Neville today was on NBC. So I don't know if you guys would have seen what he said today, but on NBC after the game, he said when he was playing under Ferguson would say at halftime, let's say they were up 2-0, 3-0, Ferguson would tell them, "You've already won the game. We don't need to win it twice," right? Neville said that with Ange, it sometimes feels like they think mentally we need to win the game again, whereas like 2-0 up at home against a rival, you've already won if you just play a little bit more conservatively. Like, you've already won the game, right? Whereas Ange, it's like, no, we need to keep going. We need to win again. We need to win 4-0, 5-0. And he said that, like, I think Carragher said this, that, like, with Celtic, right, when you're playing against, like, I mean, Hibernian, I don't even know, like, many Scottish teams, but...
Good get. No, it's a good... New made you laugh. It's a good effort for an American to...
Like, I can't pronounce these things, but, like...
Just call him Hibs, to be fair.
Hibs, Shamrock Rovers. Dundee.
Just,
Shamrock Rovers are Irish.
they're in the Irish
I will
league.
stop you right there.
I'm gonna get cooked. Anyways, my point is that I don't think Spurs have the personnel to win games twice, as it were, right? Like I don't think they have the personnel to like put 4, 5, 6 past
It's
these
just
teams. Yeah,
naivety.
it's
It's
very naive.
naivety, and also with like the players, Spurs' players are so immature. The two penalties they gave away were
Oh,
absolutely
I was so angry.
ridiculous. I'm watching it like I'm in
The second,
disbelief. I'm like,
the second penalty
why
was
has
very, very
Basuma
stupid. I was
flew in
like,
like that?
bro, he's running away from goal. He was going to the corner flag. Why are you going in swing him that way? Like, it was just stupidity. There are two holding midfielders. Bissouma did his own, okay. Then Palmer was on his way to the corner flag and he just hit him like that. If I'm a ref, even if that was not a penalty, I would have given it. Like, 'cause why are you so stupid?
And it comes from the top though. That sort of attitude it's a very like I feel like Spurs at the moment can make these mistakes, and in the game against Chelsea, the pressure will be on more. But Spurs historically, when they have bottled these things, it's like, oh, we gave it a good go. Whereas other big teams, it would be an absolute crisis what happened today. Whereas, as I say, because it's a rivalry and because it's Ange's on his way out, I think it is more serious. But Spurs is, oh, we played attacking football. Oh, at least we didn't score from corners. It's like at the end of the day, no one cares. People care about the results, and it's like, oh, we got to the Champions League final. Let's make key rings for getting to the Champions League final. It means nothing. And I go on.
What I will say is, on one end, so literally when he first got hired, everyone was saying, "What a brave manager! What a great manager!" etc. etc. Obviously, James, you're an Arsenal fan. Samit was on the winning side of Chelsea fan. I'm a Liverpool fan. Our clubs generally have like a style that we can quote unquote admire. Fola's a Newcastle fan. Would you swap
No,
Eddie Howe's style for Ange's style?
no.
Because if you think about
Because
result,
on
no, you
Thursday,
wouldn't.
when
You
did they
wouldn't.
play Bournemouth? On Wednesday, I was watching the game against Bournemouth. I was like, and I made the tweet. I put the tweet out. I was like, this guy cannot do anything in this country because the style of play is so chaotic. No control. You just want to just like babies playing around. You score, I score. No, you cannot go far with that style. I made that tweet. I was like, no, this style of play. As a neutral fan, you enjoy it, but if I'm a sports fan, I'll be like, no, get out of my club. Because why will I score 5 goals and I'll be like, okay, they're going to score 4 back? Where is the control in that? It's just too chaotic. You cannot win in the Premier League like that. You cannot win in England like that. No control. Just want to run, score, play high line, concede 5, score 7. Nah, that's not good. That's not how to win trophies. Very, very.
The thing is, as well, if they did play a deep block or played more conservatively after they were 2-0 up, it would have worked in their favour because they'd have got spaces to transition into. So they didn't even need to do this.
Personally,
We attack, you
on
attack
Ange,
basketball game.
And the
Like,
thing is,
I don't know.
I think they would have. I think they would have won too, because we don't. Chelsea generally struggle against low blocks. I think we've been better this year than we were last year. But it was the same thing last year when they were down to 9 men and they lost 4-1, and Ange got praised for playing the high line. I was like, at that point in the season when we had played them under Pochettino, we were horrid against low blocks. Had they sat 8 behind the ball with their keeper, we would have lost. We would have lost, or drew, whatever it was. I think 1-1 at that point. We would have dropped points. But he played 2 center backs on the half line, and Reese and Sterling were flying down, and Palmer was sending balls to Mudryk and stuff. It's the same thing today. Had they sat back, they probably would have won the game. It was insane to me. It's
Two
like,
centre backs who keep getting injured because of his play
every
style as
game.
well. They every
Personally, last
game they're
season,
like,
the
we
game
can't
against
do
Chelsea
this.
when Jackson scored that horrible hat trick, that was when I gave up on football. Because I was like, bro, it's 9 men and your centre backs are on the halfway line. What are you trying to? What's the plan here? That was the moment I knew that okay, this man is not going to. He's not a serious coach. He's a coach for vibes. He cannot do anything in this. What do you mean 9 men and you're attacking and your defenders are on the halfway line? Doesn't make any sense.
the the thing is though, like Tottenham generally, for as long as I've been alive, have been a vibes club. Like they're not a team that's going to be successful. The problem you have is the moment you start to win games, people like the football audience will start to go, okay, what does success look like? But actually, for Spurs, success. This is not success, obviously. But success is actually being this like vibesy team, like you go to the lane and it's going to be free. Like think about when I was going to tweet early saying Spurs Chelsea is one of my favorite games in the Premier League. So is Spurs Arsenal. So is Spurs United. So is Spurs Liverpool.
No, but
Like these, so is Spurs Newcastle. All these games are always good because Spurs are involved.
Nubaid, if you asked a Tottenham fan, would they rather be in the Champions League every season or be playing vibesy football? They'd say Champions League, absolutely. I have no doubt about that. So I think what happened was Spurs took for granted that period where they were better than Arsenal briefly, with Kane, with Son, being top 4 every season. And they went, oh, maybe we can be top 4 every season and have vibes. So they kind of sacrificed those just cutthroat managers, the Contes, Mourinho's, and went, oh, let's get a vibesy guy. And now they've got a vibesy guy and they're slipping down the table. They're 11th.
Bro, your
Just
team
the
is the
corners.
opposite, innit? No vibes, but it's successful. No vibes, but kind of
Don't get
successful.
too
Not
far.
even
Corners.
successful.
I will say about James, James, the point you made about the old Spurs teams where they had that brief period where they're like second and third every year. I'm not a Spurs fan. I can't tell you how good the vibes were, but there was a year, 16-17. They had the most goals scored in the league. They had Eriksson, Son, Dele Alli, and Harry Kane. The least goals conceded in the league. They had beat the league winners at home that year. Chelsea, they beat us 2-0 on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, something like that. And so the vibes were there, right? I think the issue is what you said, like, because they didn't get a single trophy during that Poch era, they thought, let's just get a winner. Let's just get Mourinho. Let's just get Conte. We'll get one cup. It'll be worth it. Had they won a singular trophy, they went to the League Cup final in 2015, lost. FA Cup semifinal 17-18, lost. 2016 FA Cup semifinal, lost, right? Had they just won one of those, I think this path that they're on now would not have happened because they would have gotten over that trophy hump that's just been on their back since 2008 was when they won the League Cup. And it's just they went to I think this happens a lot in all sports. When you want to move on from a manager, you do a 180. You go to the completely opposite style. You're going from Poch to Mourinho. You could not have two separate, ideologies in terms of how they view football, right? And then because they got so bored of Mourinho and Conte, they went again all the way to Ange, who's very vibesy and plays good football and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, you need to, it's like you said, if you ask Spurs fans, they'd say they want to play Champions League, but this is what Spurs are. Like, their seasons are like this. They're very like up and down. And they score a lot of goals.
If you were hiring a manager for Spurs next to me, who would you choose just off the top of your head? Because I have a name in mind.
We might have the same.
Oh, hold on. Let me ask everyone a quick question. You can answer this James question in that same question. Sack or keep Ange, and whatever your answer is, who should be next after Ange? Because it feels a lot of people are saying like he's getting sacked soon. So Sumit, you can go first because you were already in the middle of your answer.
So if I was Daniel Levy, honestly, I would keep him. But if I was Daniel Levy, I'd also spend more money. So if under the premise that
Chelsea response, man.
Under the premise that Daniel Levy will be the CEO of Tottenham, I would sack Ange and I would hire, and I think James might have the same name, would be Iriola of Bournemouth. I think I would go for him. I think the season ends, give Bournemouth a ring. You say, what do you want? I'll buy out his contract. You come play for Spurs.
That's a shout. That wasn't who I was thinking.
He's a very, very good coach, in my opinion. I think he's got Bournemouth 8th. And Chelsea beat them 1-0 this year. Late goal, Nkunku scored. Had we not scored that, Bournemouth would be 6th. Right, like they'd be above. They're 8th right now. They'd be fifth or
was
sixth.
that at home or away?
It was at Vitality. It was at their stadium.
Because they've been good at home this season. They beat City. They beat us. They just beat Spurs, I think.
Yep.
So I was going to say Graham Potter actually. Also, this is crazy. Just to check, they are top. Sorry, they're second of the XG points table, level with Liverpool, who obviously have a game in hand, but they're on 29 expected points, but their finishing hasn't been good. So he is coaching them way above their pay grade. I was going to say Potter, as I say. He just strikes me as the type of manager who would steady the ship and will get them on a positive trajectory. It will take him time, but I don't think they need to be in a rush to do anything. I just feel like he will satisfy what Levy wants. He will probably get them stable Conference League, Europa League, and then in years' time, who knows, pushing for Champions League. Because they have some good young players as well, like Bergwall, Archie Gray. We're yet to see it massively, but I know people really raved about them. So I like the Iriola shout, though.
I wanted to say Potter too, because as a Newcastle fan, I know what it means to have a bad owner. And I'm not going to entirely blame Daniel Levy because... Okay, yeah, he's bad. He's actually bad. But it comes down to Ange. His football is actually... I don't like it. I'm not a fan. I was a fan when he first... And I need to have a conversation with Scotland fans. How did that guy dominate the league Rangers, them, Eves. I don't know how to pronounce them. But how did Ange actually walk into that league and actually cook them? Because the style of play is actually, I don't like it. I was a fan because I found him very funny when he got to the league with his mates and shushing reporters. I found it funny. I felt like he had the vibes. But genuinely, I'll sack him because
Anyway,
Nube, just something I wanted to mention because we've spoken about it before, but something that we mentioned Ange has gone through. So during his high period, he was flying and there were no doubts about him. What will be interesting, because Slot and Maresca haven't really faced any adversity yet. So it'll be interesting when both of those, because surely it's inevitable that Liverpool go through a 2-3 game rough patch, that the media starts piling in at some point. So it'll be interesting how, to me, both managers cope with that.
Maresca.
who Anjan?
You think Maresca hasn't gone through some
When?
tough times? I think it depends what you mean. If you mean on the pitch, then no. But I think when he took over,
No, I mean no. I mean on the pitch. I mean on the pitch. To be fair, you're right. He has weathered a lot of storms in
yeah,
terms of the squad. But I mean, as I say, kind of the Emery thing that Emery's going through it now, where Aston Villa are just stinking and the media's turning on him. The players are looking at him a little bit, but everything on the pitch has gone very, very well for Maresca so far. And I hate to say it, but I have no criticism for Chelsea. You smile, massive smile on your face for me, because I will criticize Chelsea, and I should say this on the pod because I always speak ill of Chelsea because I hate Chelsea. But you're doing very well at the moment. A lot of players like Caicedo, who there were question marks about before, he has been unbelievable this season. Enzo Fernandez, who is another one who's been criticised on this pod before.
I've criticized Enzo a lot.
Yeah, Maresca's getting a good tune out of him. I think he's putting him in the right position, not stringing him out to dry as you have previously. And it's even Sancho is looking like a serious footballer now. So, as I say, and it's sustainable. When I was watching today, it didn't feel like when Spurs were doing their thing. I can't pick any holes in what you did. As you say, the one thing that will be interesting is when teams do start playing with low block. I still don't understand why that hasn't really happened yet.
And I think I'm going to say this, and I don't think it's an unpopular opinion, that Chelsea are in their 17-18 Liverpool sort of phase where you can see so many promising things. But until we get our Van Dijk and until we get our Alisson, it's going to be like this where we're going to give up goals where you just scratch your head and be like, what are they doing? But that, like,
more money, Todd Bowley, more money, more players.
That's what Robert Sanchez is. Like, he has an error in him, right? And if you play like Fofana has a little bit of an injury, so he's been out for like a week and maybe another 2-3 weeks. And Badiashile, I just think he's another one where he'll have a good game and then he'll have this moment where it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, let go of the ball, release it, and we just don't have that composure in our back line. So I agree with you, Nubade, that there is ways to get at us. And I'm surprised that hasn't been done yet, but it will be interesting because obviously you play everyone, once home, once away. Like the second fixture, the return fixture, will these managers look at the first game that we played and say, why did we go toe-to-toe with them? Why don't we just sit back? Why don't we let the game come to us, right? Because if you do drag out the likes of Colwell and Badiashile, and Disasi is one I didn't mention, but if he does play, if you do get at them on the transition, you can definitely score. Right? If you get a few shots on Sanchez, you can definitely score. So there are ways to attack us. We're not there yet, which is why I keep downplaying the league title thing. I think it's bizarre that we're getting these shouts.
No, but I think we should definitely let me add some context to this so that we can have a conversation about this. I'm not saying Chelsea should win the league, but considering where the table is at, and in the same way Newcastle ended up in the top 4, there could be an opportunity here where it follows around at me. I'm sorry, bro. You snuck into the top 4. There could be a way like you could sneak your way to a title race. I'm not saying you would win it, but because of how random the season is, anything can happen this season. If tomorrow Liverpool lose Van Dijk for 3 months and Arsenal continue in the way they're going, and maybe Arsenal lose Odegaard for another month and City carry on the way they are, because of the size of your squad, because of the way you've played in big fixtures, and because you've got a guy in Cole Palmer who I actually did think played well today. You've got these players that can do things for you and win you matches on their own. It could be one of those seasons where that alone could win you the league.
They're very well positioned because if Chelsea were currently front runners I think it would come with a whole load of other things because all the focus is on Liverpool and people are trying to focus on Chelsea,
I
and
made
Chelsea
it,
are like, shush, shush,
and
shush,
I had
shush,
400
shush, shush,
replies
we're
of Chelsea
second.
fans telling me not to force them into the title race. And I'm like, bro, you play the best football in the league. If person the best football in the league is not in the title race, then who's going to be in the title race? You are in the title race. Stop downplaying it. They were just avoiding this stuff like,
One thing I will touch on that Nubaid said, where you said that like with the way Chelsea are playing with the attacking firepower and the players at the disposal and the squad size. I just want to say about the squad size, because I do say this a lot, that I think people think Chelsea's squad is bigger than it is because we've spent so much money that the backup 11 is so good, right? So you see like on our bench, you have João Felix, Christopher Nkunku, Milo Mudryk, 60 million player, Sancho sometimes, Madueke. You see all these names, so it gives the impression that, well, if they're on the bench, who didn't make the 23, right? Like, who's at home? And if you actually look at it, it's not, our squad is not too dissimilar to the other squads in the league. It's a little bit bigger, but it's not like this 45-man squad at our disposal. I just wanted to say that because I've never got a chance to say that on air, so.
Bigger in terms of quality, I
Yes,
think.
yes.
Like, yeah, so you've got like 22 pretty good. Like, if I looked at that bench today, I'd be like, if you fell behind, you would find ways out of it because you've got so many good substitutes. Whereas, like, in comparison to other teams up there, like Spurs' squad, like Ben Davies did, respectfully, he's still playing centre back in this day and age on the halfway line. Like, that's not a good vibe.
Don't get
Newcastle's still
Fola
leaning on
started.
Jacob Murphy.
Fola's gonna get started on Ange again.
Also, I'm just looking at it now, and Mudryk, James, and Fofana were all out, and you still have no youth players on the bench. And I assume you had maybe one or two more senior players that didn't make the squad. So you still, yeah, because like
Chilwell doesn't
is
make the squad anymore.
Chukwuemeka?
Yeah, so those are the two senior players are Chukwuemeka and Chilwell. Chukwuemeka is a different conversation. I don't understand how he doesn't get into the team. He's a very, very talented player. But those are the two senior players that just don't feature. They're on the bomb squad, as it were.
But you see, like, you're saying Chilwell and Chukwuemeka don't even touch
imagine,
the squad.
Chukwuemeka might start for, I don't know, Man United right now.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you are right in terms of quality wise. We have more good players than everyone else. But like raw numbers wise, I don't think it's that dissimilar. So like, I'm glad you actually said that. So it's we do agree on that we have a lot of good players that other teams just don't have. But yes.
Bro, it's just because, you know what, Fola's allowed me to have context to this conversation because I keep looking at him and I'm like, bro, he's a Newcastle fan. They have 15 players. So how are we complaining about a lack of squad? A very quick question for you, because I feel like the audience, and I also feel this way. Why are you supporting Newcastle when you're from Nigeria, bro? What is going on, bro? You should be supporting United,
actually,
Arsenal, and Liverpool, and no one else.
I would say I used to be jumping teams. I used to follow players when I was young. As for that guy, they will call me Pogba. So my best footballer right now is Pogba, forever Pogba. So I used to like jump teams. I follow players wherever they go. But when I was young, I used to have like a Shola Amiobi shirt. That Northern Rock. I used to have a Shola Amiobi shirt. I was young and I saw the picture. I was not like, okay, Newcastle. And that time they were in the championship 2016-17. They were in the championship. Actually, I was not supporting them in the championship. I'm not going to lie. I waited till they go pro. Okay, I waited till they got promoted. But yeah, I'm not like a plastic that started supporting because of Saudi money. Started supporting for then. So yeah.
Bro, shout out Shola Amiobi, you know, what a guy. He's got people converting. To be fair, he like partially converted you, because when they dropped in the championship, he was like, hey,
I was just
I'm out of here.
Pogba, Man United. Okay, I was saying Man United they beat AC Milan.
Back to the Spurs Chelsea conversation. Cole Palmer, I think me and Samit both agreed that he didn't actually play that well today. He got man of the match, but I think it was classic, like a guy scores a dink and everyone goes, like, unbelievable. But James, you wanted to chat about penalty takers because we said, actually you tweeted something like he's the best penalty taker ever, and I said ever, and you said we'll talk about it. So tell me.
Yeah, obviously, this was kind of just, you can exaggerate on Twitter and people get really upset. It was quite funny. People were like, how dare you disrespect Matt Letizia like that? I was like, just allow me to tweet sometimes. Like, the guy scored 12 out of 12 penalties. And also, if anyone is allowed to speak about who is good and who is not at penalties, it's the guy who did his master's thesis on penalty shootouts. Thank you very much. So I was looking actually just before the pod of, and I'm sure everyone who was listening to the commentary, Palmer's now got a record which is the most penalties scored without missing. He broke Yaya Touré's record of 11. Palmer's now scored 12 of his first 12 penalties. The best record is Matt Letizier's with 25 out of 26. So, yeah, I'd still give him ahead of Palmer. But again, like I wasn't alive. Well, I was probably alive, but I'm not old enough to remember Matt Letizier doing his thing. So in my living memory, he is just one of the best takers we've seen. And something that strikes me as well, it's quite funny because all of the penalty wait time that I speak about, he ignores all of that. So he doesn't do things by the book. He clearly just doesn't feel the pressure. And the keeper never gets close to the penalties. This is what strikes me as well. I've never watched a Cole Palmer penalty, at least as far as I can remember, and think, oh, he got away
No,
with
I
that
think
one.
I can remember.
Or he got lucky there.
But I think
I-
it was. I think it was.
Yeah, I
Bukhari,
just
so
wanted to
don't
say-
remember, but I think there was one. There was one particular
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
So that was
Bukhari,
the
right?
only one. Yeah, but I'm really glad you brought this up, James, because I love the mental aspect of sports, and penalties is the ultimate mental aspect of sports, right? So I've always loved discussing penalties and learning why some players score, why some players miss. So I actually tweeted this about a year ago, and I just pulled the tweet up. And funny enough, you responded in the tweet. It was about Palmer's penalty technique. It was like a bat signal for you. You came running in. But so what I tweeted was, I think I just figured out Palmer's penalty technique and why he's never missed. And what I said was, Matt Letizier was 47 from 48 in his career. And I think Palmer has copied his technique, maybe not knowingly, but he's copied his technique with one tweak. So Matt Letizier, some people may know this, some people may not. He said in an interview once, he's right-footed. He would take every penalty to his right side in the bottom right. When he stepped up to the spot, that's what he's thinking in his head. I'm going to go to the bottom right. Because if you saw the keeper shift that way, if you're going to the right as a right-footed player, it's easy to flip your foot over the ball and send it the other way. And you don't need much power because you've seen the keeper go. Think about it as a right-footed player. You just flip your foot over the ball, right? Whereas if you're aiming left, right? So if you're already trying to aim left as a right-footed player, you see the keeper move that way. Then you have to turn your whole shoulders and your hips and turn your right foot out that way to aim it to the right side. So he would step up, and he said this in an interview. I would always aim for the bottom right. If I saw the keeper move, I just flip my foot over the ball. And you'll notice
Who said this?
Letizia himself. He said it in an interview after he retired. And you'll notice a common theme with Letizier's penalties and Palmer's penalties, that the keeper doesn't go the right way for both of their penalties. Like you said with Palmer, it doesn't seem like the keeper gets near. So what I think Palmer does is he's copied the technique with one tweak. I think Palmer looks at the goalkeeper's knees when he runs up. So basically, when
Sorry to interrupt you. I will let you continue
Yes.
to me, but this is an incredible. The analysis clearly.
no, I have thought about this a lot, and your dissertation, like
We could tell.
I'm so fascinated by it, and I love penalties. Like you can see like the emotion in which I'm saying this. I love this discussion. So Letizia had a very slow run up, right? So he would run pretty slow, and then he'd see the keeper move, he'd flip the other way. Palmer runs very fast, relatively fast. So what I think he does is, if a goalkeeper is standing on his line and he bends his knees one way, he's probably going to dive that side. So Palmer just aims the other side. So and if the only goalkeeper I've seen who doesn't do that is Jens Sommer for Switzerland. He saved two of Jorginho's penalty ones because he knows Jorginho's penalties were the same thing, and he shifts his knees one way and he goes the other way.
Yeah, you're right. But if I may add, because Palmer does it quickly, a keeper wouldn't have time to do the decoy dummy,
Yes.
which is ridiculous. So a lot of people, and I've spoken to people before where they've said, why don't other people try and copy this penalty technique? The problem is, Cole Palmer has just this natural talent that most people wouldn't have, where he is able to perceive within hundreds of seconds what the keeper is doing and adjust his body to that. That is something that so few people can do, and he has it naturally, which is why to him, he doesn't need to follow all these 6-second wait times because the whole action is just something that is innate to him. And that's why, go on, Nabil.
I also want to add that I think you just said there, like, he's got this ability that he can effectively figure out what a goalkeeper's going to do before the keeper does it. When I actually think some of that is definitely true, but I also think because he doesn't think about these things, he's effective from taking pens. So Matt Letizia and Cole Palmer, weirdly, I would say, have quite similar personalities on the pitch, like nonchalant characters.
Hopefully not off the pitch.
Yeah, definitely hope not off the pitch, but both like quote unquote piss takers, like do things like Cole Palmer will do a rainbow flick when his team's losing 2-0 because why not? Matt Letizia used to do similar sort of things, and they almost played football with this like lack of affection to the sport, which made them so good.
Yeah.
Like for me, I don't think Palmer goes home and puts on Match of the Day and watches it. Like, I actually think he just sits and plays FIFA all evening.
Yeah.
And I think Matt Letizia probably goes and watches COVID test videos all evening. But they're so similar characters. So when they like, I think James has spoken about this, and I think generally, if you're cooler taking a penalty, or if you're more relaxed, or you don't think about things too much, just in anything in life, you write an assignment better, you take penalties better, you'll do most things.
Think
better.
about other players in our lifetime who have been good at penalties. Balotelli, very, very nonchalant player. Eden Hazard, very, very nonchalant player. These players, like, generally, we're talking about the same mold of players. We're just like, I'll show up. Very talented players, but they're like,
Which is really interesting because historically, like, the best players in the world haven't necessarily been the best penalty takers. Neymar, Ronaldo, Messi all have quite Messi, especially until more recent years, had not a very good penalty record, and that's because they've got such like an ego in that they have such a desire to achieve that they're kind of almost trying too hard. Whereas Cole Palmer doesn't have this over trying because, as I say, he's just having fun out there. And if you want to compare two players with really different penalty styles, and I had to shout out this boy because people don't realize Saka's penalty record, I just checked, is 11 scored out of 12 in the Prem. So he's actually only missed one more than Palmer from the same sample.
Yeah,
but the one he missed was West Ham, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Under high
Yeah.
pressure. And the one for
but he's
England
changed
that happened.
his style since then. So yeah, he missed the England one. Obviously, he started focusing on penalties. He did the West Ham one, but again, the penalty technique there wasn't great. Saka does the whole, I'm going to wait ages, I'm going to make a decoy take, I'm going to do this, and that, and it works for him. But there's no point saying that to Palmer because he doesn't need to. So he can just rock up.
His trick is he just doesn't think. Like, that's, I think, genuinely, I don't mean in general, I mean like for pens. I think his trick, or his like, even, I think, was it the Wolves goal this season where he lobbed the keeper from like a stupid range? Like, only guys who are not thinking straight do things. Like Bruno Fernandes shooting from the halfway line when Konza gave it to him. Like, these guys don't think about things, and so they do things that are just like astronomically wonderful because other players just don't do that. Like, if that ball gets squared to Jordan Henderson where Bruno Fernandes shoots from, he's taken 15 touches before he has to get off someone else because they just don't think. So I think Cole Palmer's.
Yeah. So the last point I just wanted to say about Palmer is what I said about his, like, my theory on why he scores. The hard evidence I have for that, because up until now, everything I've just said is a theory. I think he looks at the goalkeeper's knees. The reason I think I have evidence for that is everyone knows when you're playing football, let's say you're right-footed, right? And you go to take a shot. Your left toe as a right footer, where your left toe is pointed, if you're not trying to do anything, that's where the ball will go. If you're not trying to put bend on it, trivela, spin, that is where the ball will go. So listen. Where your left toe on your left foot, right? Where that is aimed. Think about it. When you play football and you're just trying to shoot, where your left toe is aimed on your left foot, or not your left toe, but your left foot rather, that's where the ball will go. If you notice all of Palmer's penalties, and I haven't looked at all of them, I went back and watched the clip and a compliment. His right foot, because he's left-footed, is always aimed in the center of the goal. His right foot is aimed right into the center of the goal. It's never aimed left or right. So I think
you got poor Fola doing physics.
So
right
I
now.
think.
What's happening?
Hey, actually, I just want to shout out. I'll just shout out my dad here, who he will listen to this podcast. He has a doctorate in physics, so I just wanted to shout out Mr.
What a guy,
Mr. Samit's dad.
Cool.
So anyway, Palmer, his foot is always pointed to the center of the goal, and that is my evidence for his theory that he looks at the knees and he goes the opposite way. All right, I'm done with that's my dissertation, James. Please sign off on that.
Listen, you came to the pod to hear about Arsenal, to hear about Spurs, Chelsea, to hear about Newcastle, to hear about Liverpool. You got a whole physics lesson on knees, eyes, penalty taking, and best of all, you got Matt Letizia and Cole Palmer are actually long lost brothers. Probably not brothers, actually. Matt's just about 60 years old. But they're related somehow. So we've swapped Fola out, we've brought Connor in, and there's a good reason for that. It's because Manchester United take on Manchester City, and we've decided we're going to do an all-time draft. Not Manchester United now. You may include some players from now. Should be mad if you did, to be honest. But basically, City United all-time draft, snake order. If you don't know what that is, basically, I take a pick, then James, then Connor, then Samit, then Samit takes 2 picks, and you go back around. Make sense?
Easy.
But
Yes.
the aim of this is that at the end, we're going to have a combined 11 that all of us, quote unquote, agree on. So nice and easy. Goalkeeper, I'm going to throw in Peter Schmeichel. I think this doesn't even need a conversation. But James?
Yeah. No, I can't even argue with that. So am I going right back first?
Oh, no. Well, let's go. Let's agree on the keeper first.
Yeah.
Well, I can't argue. I hate to make shit content, but I can't argue. Peter Schmeichel.
Connor, Samit, you're both saying Peter Schmeichel.
I mean, I was like, if anyone, Van der Sar, but like, I think Schmeichel's better. So
I actually think Van der Sar's better than Peter Schmeichel, but I can see why you go with Peter Schmeichel. I've always just been more of a Van der Sar guy. I think at his peak at United, he was a bit better, but let's be honest. You
What was Van der Sar's record? Was it like 11 games without conceding? Or
Yeah.
something?
And
That
then
is
even when we
unbelievable.
eventually did concede, like in those games, it was Thomas Kujat that was in goal against Blackburn. So it wasn't even him. He lasted
really?
a couple more games, yeah.
James, you're on to right back then.
This is probably going to be the weaker position of the team, even though he is probably the best Premier League right back of all time. Joint with Trent, probably still ahead for now. Gary Neville, of course, and
I also did not. I thought you said Kyle Walker.
Same.
I thought you were going to say Kyle Walker. Yeah.
I don't like watching Kyle Walker play football, so I'm going to stick with Gary Neville.
You like watching Gary Neville play football.
No, you make a fair point actually about Kyle Walker, because there was a period where I thought he was the best Premier right back of all time. That's a tough one. Again, kind of the more Kyle Walker is playing, the more it is damaging his reputation, because I watched the highlights of the City game. I didn't watch it at the time, and I was like, this guy, he needs to go to MLS. He needs to go Saudi,
Come Miami,
go
man.
somewhere.
Come Miami. We need
Go
a right
somewhere.
back. We
Go
need a right
somewhere,
back.
because it's not working anymore, and it is quite sad to see a guy who just relies on his pace now. It is weird though, because a lot of footballers who rely on their pace are able to he's had enough time to learn to not need his pace, but I guess he's just taking it for granted, and now it's just being exposed all at the same time.
I'm not going to lie, like the goal against Palace this weekend, where you could see across the line, and Ismail Assar went in and he put his arm up, and I was like, bro, no, it wasn't.
Munoz, it was
Munoz.
embarrassing that.
Yeah.
I was like it was what I thought was mad was that he put his arm up and he was looking at Munoz directly across him, and I was like, there's no way you don't see that you are playing him so far onside. Like it's actually harder for you to see you're playing him onside than it was to see him playing offside. So yeah, but I think reputation is going to get killed if he carries on. But in my opinion, I would also have him as number one.
Kyle Walker,
not Gary Neville, but I think
Same.
I can't argue with that, to be fair.
It's hard to argue with, but I would probably edge it to Gary Neville, because I think Neville and Trent are the best right backs in Premier League history. But it would be hard to argue against Kyle Walker how good he was for all those years. So
the problem as well is if we just go down the trophy route and say Neville won X, Y, and Z, then you just start putting all of the United players from that era. So I don't think there's any harm in saying ability-wise.
It's also about Walker is, if we're doing this, is it just their City years? Because 2 of Walker's best years were at Spurs. They weren't at City. 15-16, 16-17 were 2 of his best years.
I think it's that their Premier League legacy, right?
Right, so it's not just
there's not going to be too many players. Yeah, not going to be too many players along the track that have played for a bigger club than say Man U or City. So let's move to more interesting positions, because I think the back four almost kind of fills itself along the way. Centre back, Connor, you're number one. This is your A side centre back.
Oh, my A side centre back. I got out of the 2 teams, it's just got to be Rio. It's got to be number one. I don't think there's much of an argument. There's not even really much to say about it, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Are we going to say Connor?
I was going to say, do I have to pick 2 centre backs or just one?
Nah, you get one. So
Yeah,
gets
Sam.
two.
There's no discussion. Rio Ferdinand's the best out out there.
Yeah.
Go on, Connor.
Is it me or is
Please
I mean,
don't.
Smee. Bro, mixing up brown guys, that's crazy for a brown guy. Go on, Smee.
Yeah, I was thinking. I had two names in mind. I had Vincent Kompany and Nemanja Vidic.
No.
Hold on, you didn't even let
I'm
me
not
finish,
having this
James.
at
You didn't
all.
even let me
Because
finish.
I was waiting for someone to say him. I think Company is so overrated.
No,
You
he's
didn't
not
even let me
overrated.
finish,
Oh,
James.
nah,
I said I was thinking Vincent Kompany, and I'm gonna go with Nemanja Vidic because I like him better. But Kompany came to my head. I just want to put that out there, Jameson.
I would
But I
have
was
edged it. I would have
waiting.
edged it to Company. You know, I don't think he's not. I don't think he's underrated, overrated at all. He was a proper captain, full of clutch moments.
He has a
I thought
lot
he was
of
really
he has a lot of gaffes in his career. If you go back and watch the tape, like he had a lot of moments. Like I can remember one the Fulham own goal, like swipes at the ball, goes over his head, rolls back and he had a lot of those.
Vidic had a lot
Yeah,
of
but
mistakes
Vidic
in him
had
too.
plenty of those as well.
To be
Like,
fair,
and-
I've just said Vidic.
and company centre back partner was rotating so frequently. Go on, here comes James's big spiel on why
You're not getting any big
Kompany's not his
spiel
guy.
because we all watched him with our eyes. I just think the idea of Vincent Company was more grand than the actual Vincent Company you got. And yeah, because of the big moments, because of the captain, leader, legend, etc. I understand that puts him higher up, but I just think like as a pure footballer, he does not chat to Vidic or Terry or Ferdinand or Sol Campbell, etc.
I thought he was brilliant, man. I
I
might be alone in thinking it. I thought even on the ball he was really good as well. I don't think he had many flaws to his game.
Was
He
he
came as
really
a
good
DM
on the
as well,
ball?
you know? Yeah, he came as a DM.
He was
so
a good ball
deep.
carrier, but I don't think he was
Yeah,
especially good
brother, but
passer.
you're like respectfully, Nemanja Vidic. Listen, he was smashing me up anytime. So, but Nemanja Vidic was not good.
Put
in
it this way:
possession.
give it a few years, and Saliba's overtaken Company.
Bro,
in
here we
terms
go
of
with this
goals.
guy,
This
bro.
isn't
You
an answer
can't
conversation,
have
bro.
a
Like,
single
get us
episode
out of this conversation.
with this guy, man. Oh man.
Samit, you've got double picks. So you have a left back as well. This is a dodge
It is.
position,
It
I can't
really
lie.
is. And I'm gonna say a name that I'm gonna look stupid saying because I didn't watch this guy, but I'm gonna go Irwin at left back just because what I've
I knew you were going to say that.
from
bro.
what I've heard,
Picks
he
from-
is the best.
But Irwin, literally, like you couldn't have been alive to watch.
I know.
this,
What am I gonna
wanna
say?
keep-
Kolarov? Like, come on. Like, Zinchenko?
Patrice Evra?
Even was if you ask a United fan, like I mean, from what I've heard, they talk about Irwin like he was like Gareth Bale at left back. Like that's what I've heard from him, right? So I guess Evra would be the better choice. I mean, it's a combined 11. You guys get to have your input. So if you guys want to go Evra, I'll go Evra.
Zinchenko.
Here we go.
It's too easy for it. It's too easy.
I would have gone with Evra for this one.
Gal
to be
cliche.
honest.
Let's go with Evra. Midfield. This is where it gets tasty. Connor, you get to go first. Oh, here we go. By the way, for full context, for people who even James or Samit won't know this, but we've just started a new series called Play Your Hand. And I won't go into too much detail because it's definitely going to be worth a watch. But effectively, we have 4 guys and we pick the best Premier League midfielder of all time. But every round, you have to get rid of players. So we start with 11. Every round, you get rid of 3. And you end up in a final with 2 of the best Premier League midfielders. And Connor, don't say anything. Don't give anything away. But the way this guy was angry that day, like he was ready to say, "I'm never coming on no ratings." He was going to quit his job. He was going to call. He was fuming. So I feel like I know who you're going to put in first.
Yeah, Roy Keane is going straight in. I'll be real. He's going straight in. The best captain the Premier League's ever seen. Best. You know, you could probably argue there's a lot of Man City players that you could put in this position, but I would argue Roy Keane is a better leader and such an underrated actual footballer. And everyone disrespects how good he was on the ball because of how good he was as a leader. He was actually so good at football. Roy Keane deserves way more respect than he gets in these conversations, especially certain conversations that I had the other day. So I'm going with Roy Keane. You lot can disagree and throw,
No, I think
players
Rokin
on
would
what?
be.
So hold on. This is
First
your
pick.
number 1 midfield choice.
Yeah.
And then
I'm
we'll go
happy
number
with that.
2.
Man. I'm happy with that.
Okay. So Roy Keane's your number 1, and then James, who's your number 1?
Is it me or is it Sami?
Yeah.
Is it me?
No. I'm saying. So
Oh,
I'm personally
oh.
debating Roy Keane to not be in this team. By the way, I want to put that out there early because I think there's 3 better midfielders.
Just get in the bin. Roy Keane. I'm happy with him number 1 pick. Why? What is your problem against Roy Keane?
Thank you. You should have been there. You know what? Never mind. But Roy Keane.
But hold on. So I'm saying my number one pick in midfield would be Kevin De Bruyne.
Oh yeah, whoa. No, but now you're just going to start listing all the players. Wait till the
Okay,
second and third
fair.
pick.
But then I would put in Roy Keane's position out of Yaya Toure, and I don't.
Oh,
think
no, stop it.
No,
Stop it.
no. We're not. I think Yaya Toure is a very, very good player. I don't think I agree with what Connor said. Is that like Roy Keane is a very underrated on the ball player. Yaya Toure, that 13-14 season, people talk about it like he like won the Ballon d'Or that year. They put it up on this pedestal. It's like, guys, he was not like this like transformative all-time talent. So yeah, I'm gonna have to keep with Keane. I'm good with Keane. I'm good with Keane there.
Yeah, Yaya Toure wasn't better than Roy Keane, brother. What? Come on now.
Yaya Toure
but
also
there's-
just people remember him for what he did. People don't remember him for what he didn't do, which is he was a passenger in a lot of like. No, passenger is the wrong word, but he was quite lazy. He would go games where he'd just like wander around and not make an impact, and then would have other games where he'd grab the game by the scruff of the neck and do everything. But there were times where people were looking at Yaya Toure going like, this guy is lazy. Why is he not applying himself in the way he could? I don't think you would ever hear that about Roy Keane, my kind of footballer. Nubay just hates him because of who he is.
I don't. I actually, do you know what? I've actually begun to like him even more because of what he's like on TV. And me not putting him in my team probably means I'd never go on TV again. No, I just really like the Yaya Toure. But anyway, Roy Keane's in. James, you're on the next pick.
I'm going to say this person just to piss a few people off. I'm going to go Rodri, please, because he is a Ballon d'Or winner.
Hold on a minute. You want Rodri and Roy Keane in the same team? Are you okay? You know what? Actually, I'm gonna like Roy Keane shouldn't be in this team because Rodri should be playing in that.
No. Respect Roy Keane, please. What is
I'm
Roy
respecting
Keane?
him. Rodri just won a Ballon d'Or.
Mate, you can't land that.
Yeah, but we've got De Bruyne. De
Bruyne.
Bruyne is going to be in there as well, so he's an attacking midfielder. So we've got a pivot of Roy Keane and Rodri.
So is that how we're building it? Like as if they were actually playing, not just the three best midfielders. They have to work together. Is what you're saying?
No, just the three best midfielders. But I'm saying they happen to coincidentally make quite a nice 6, 8, 10.
So what do you
combination?
I'm just going to throw the name out there. It's not my turn. I'm just going to throw a name out there. David Silva. What do we think?
Nah.
Bro.
Nah, you lot put too much.
He's the woke man's choice, David Silva. Everyone, just David Silva. This
because then if David Silva's making it, Paul Scholes should make there's too many.
David Silva.
I put Scholes over Silva.
David Silva is a prime example of a footballer that you can say he is amazing, and no one can argue. Because how do you argue against David Silva being amazing? Oh, you say
because he's amazing, bro. What do you mean?
But there's no like. How can you discredit it? It's like, if I say David Silva's not class, you'll go, oh, you've got to watch football with your eyes. It's what he does off the ball. It's the way he makes these passes.
I'm not going to lie. You're not going to like this. But basically, what Ødegaard does for Arsenal, David Silva's doing for Man City.
Yeah, and I don't have Ødegaard in this team either.
Yeah.
You would if it was an Arsenal team. You would.
Exactly, bro. That's what I'm saying.
If it was an Arsenal City combined 11, you'd put Ødegaard in.
And you'd say, but it's all those things, it's not the assist, it's not the goal, it's the conducting, it's the way he flicks his hair. That's Ødegaard, it's the magic.
Ødegaard gets the goals and assists. David Silva didn't, to be fair. So, David Silva. Also, difference between Ødegaard and David Silva. Ødegaard is often seen as Arsenal's best player. David Silva was never Man City's best player.
You should, Amir.
No, I know. He goes on about it all the damn time.
Hold on. You just said, if you ask Arsenal fan, you'd say Ødegaard's our best player.
No. Not if you ask Arsenal fan. If you ask anyone, they'd say Ødegaard's one of Arsenal's best players. David Silva.
You said best, now you say one of David.
Okay, Saka and Ødegaard. Saka and Ødegaard. Whereas if you ask Man City, it was always Aguero, De Bruyne. There were other players. David Silva was a nice piece.
Every Manchester City fan that I know says David Silva's the best player.
Yeah, the woke man's pick.
I'm gonna be honest. David Silva's just another guy. I'll be honest.
They are.
That's what I mean.
Nah,
you always stick Bernardo Silva in it while we're.
Also, hey, don't.
Nah, you can't be comparing David and Bernardo like that. Come on.
Also, you said, but I knew in my head that David Silva definitely had numbers on Ødegaard. You said he didn't get goals and assists. In his last season at City, he got 16 goals and assists. Season before that, he got 16.
16 goals and assists.
16, no, as in combined.
Yeah.
Bro,
No,
16 goals
Odegaard did
and 60
15
assists.
non-penalty goals in a single season, brother, in the
This brother's
league.
going not. Yeah, but you said he wasn't getting numbers, and this is in a different time. Let me finish. Season before he got 20 goals and assists. Season before that he got 11, but he was injured. Season before that he got 19.
Are you talking
So to say
all comps or
numbers,
just
Is
the
this
league?
David Silva's stats?
yeah, bro.
Bruno's stats are better than that.
But bro, no, I'm not arguing about Bruno.
Also, this all comps.
Anyway, listen, David Silva's not in the squad. Why are we fighting for the guy who's from
You know, it's so
He should have
funny.
trimmed his
It's so
hair.
funny. I'm the one who said his name, and you three have had like the most like like I said his name and just left, and you three have been going on, and I just love it. I love it.
All right. I don't even know whose pick it is anymore because James mentioned Bernardo Silva. Now I'm angry.
I think it's you, Nabe. I think it's you because
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
I don't even know who's
Alright,
in
I
right
get-
now.
Oh, this guy's banned
Well,
from
we're saying
making
Roy Keane's in the
Yeah.
team, and we're saying
De Bruyne,
oh,
definitely.
James was debating Rodri apparently.
No, De Bruyne is definitely in, so it's the third midfielder.
Yeah, so now so now we have lots of names. So I'll just name a few names and I'll pick one. I have a double pick actually. We've got Rodri, Scholes, apparently not David Silva. Anyone I'm missing? That's like a proper standout.
Fernandinho, but obviously wouldn't have
He
an
ain't gonna make
but,
it, bro.
but
This guy wants to play with a team full of 3-6s. Your breast milk. Who else? I think that's it. No,
Yeah,
those are like
yeah.
the standout options.
Yeah, there's not really anyone else.
I-
And I'll pick Scholes.
I'll go
Yeah,
Scholes,
but it's
too.
your pick. It's your pick.
All right, I'll back Scholes, but I don't think that makes a balanced midfield. But it sounds like everyone else is backing Scholes. So, and I think we got it wrong from the first choice. Let's
No, we did not.
just make that clear.
You lot disrespect Roy Keane's name. So
It's not disrespectful, bro. There's many other good midfielders. Anyway, forwards. Are we going right to left, or do you want to go
right to left? We started with the right back, so that makes sense.
Yeah. So, right wingers. Oof. Mahrez needs to have a conversation because we're talking about Premier League legacy. Remember, not just Man City.
Stop it.
Who
Stop.
else do you want on right wing?
Ronaldo played right wing
Yeah.
for United, didn't he?
Yeah, Ronaldo. Anyone else? It's kind of hard.
There doesn't need to be anyone else. Let's be honest.
I mean, if it's
Ronaldo's
those two
the-
names,
You know, Man City's biggest shout is probably Sterling. You'd have Sterling ahead of Mahrez.
yeah.
No, you have Mahrez ahead of Sterling.
No, you'd have Sterling ahead of
Nah.
Mahrez, surely.
Sterling
Mahrez was a
played off the
side
left
piece for a
most.
while.
Nah, bro. Also, we're talking about Premier League legacy. Remember, I said Premier League. legacy.
Yeah.
Mahrez is well in the conversation.
I think Mahrez was good, but to be fair,
He was good.
I think Mahrez is a good player, but
I loved him.
but Ronaldo's Premier League legacy is still better than Mahrez's.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, Ronaldo's Premier League legacy in this entire team. is
What
better
are
than
we debating?
everyone's.
Ronaldo is in. Come on, guys. What are we debating here? Come on.
Sorry,
Come on.
bro. Bro, why am I even here at this point? Any name I mention, I'm just getting sledged.
Up front is quite an interesting one, actually.
Yeah, it's you anyway. Whatever you say, I promise you I'm disagreeing. Whatever you say.
Oh shit! Actually, it's a good conversation.
Aguero, Wayne Rooney, and Haaland, but it's premature for that anyway. But in terms of like peak season, and then I'll sprinkle in Eric Cantona just to please the old folks watching. But
You didn't watch him play.
I think I'm going to go Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, I'd
Yep.
agree, but it's really close. It's really
That's shocking, Connor, that you'd agree. Honestly, didn't think the United fan.
no, but like, Aguero is genuinely unreal. So it is a conversation. It really is. But man, Rooney, man, he's just a more complete player.
I
The
love
assists,
Wayne
the
Rooney.
goals.
Strikers is tough, you know. Aguero, I actually low-key think Aguero is quite underrated. I think people don't.
Yeah,
talk
he
about
is.
him
He
the way
is.
he
His
does.
goal
Like,
record
he
is on par with Henri's.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Maybe
If
Henry's
you've
not that
seen-
difficult to chase after all, for you guys.
If you've seen the famous graphic, there's like I think ESPN and Bleacher Report might have made it. It was like teams like Aguero scored the most against, and it's like Chelsea 10, Arsenal 9,
It's
Liverpool 6.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Like all the big teams, he's like killed them over the years. Like Chelsea especially, he's put like 4 past
Near
this one
post.
game. Yeah, he's
Just near post bang.
I'll
Just
probably edge
one
Rooney,
thing that goes against Aguero as well is he was a bit of a part timer. He played like 28 games a season, most Premier League
Yeah.
seasons, which looked fine. But at the end of the day, he wasn't contributing. Fortunately, they had Gabriel Jesus,
You know
who
what? You know what though? You know what? You're just wrong because that's not true. I think I
Right, we're going back
also
to-
used to think the same. Bro's going to pull up these stats and go, "This is all comps, brother." It says Premier League. I want to clarify.
I was there. I lived
he-
through it.
He played 33, 30, 31, 25, 33, 24, 12. I also did think he was injured quite a lot, but I think he missed like 6-week periods where they had like 2 games. Sorry.
I can't argue that.
Yeah. You know what? Bro, this guy's trust issues are so insane. I actually have the thing in front of me. I'm reading it out word for word. He's going, I can't argue that. Of course you can't, bro, because I'm not lying.
Left winger.
Yeah. We're saying Rooney. Everyone agreeing on Rooney. Question though, Connor, seeing as you're a United fan, if we were playing a different system, would like the likes of Bex and Giggs even get in?
Giggs wouldn't. Beck's probably. I'd make the argument for Beckham, but I don't think Giggs can chat to some of these guys.
You know, I think Giggs slander has gone too far.
It's not. He was a great player. It's just
no, not like that. But I think because people think he was just a journeyman with so many trophies, I think people forget he was actually like an incredibly talented player. You don't play this many games for such a good United team by just being like an average player. I think, and I used to hate on Giggs a little bit, and then I'm like, no, actually, I've watched tapes of him, and he in the FA Cup final against Arsenal.
But I knew you were going to mention that. But you know, like I was chatting to, it might have even been you, Connor, the other day. Like Giggs used to have these moments, but then he would like disappear for like.
Yeah, he would go missing quite a lot. That was a problem.
We probably should have played 4-4-2. You know?
I was just thinking we should switch the formation. Because you could just shift.
Yeah, but then we still lose an all-time midfielder.
No, you just shift De Bruyne to the right. De Bruyne used to play there.
Nah, you're mad.
He could play there. Why can't he play there?
Nah, just sack Rodri off, man. If we're going to do that, just sack Rodri off. He's a system.
Yeah, Nubaid said 4-4-2 because he wanted to get rid of Roy Keane.
Yeah, exactly, bro. How did Rodri's not even in the team? De Bruyne got shipped to the right. No one even mentioned Scholes and Keane. One of these two guys. It's time to go.
It's not,
big question: who's manager?
Sir Alex Ferguson's the manager. That's not
Pep Guardiola.
No, he's not. Oh my god, it's such a tired argument, man. Sir Alex Ferguson is so clear. Oh my days. We'll do the winger first. I can't. Is it Giggs? Is it just Giggs?
If you want to switch, because you want to put Ronaldo at left and then put someone else, like I understand, like the shifting. That's why I was saying the 4-4-2. You put Ronaldo on the left. You keep the two midfielders you want, and you just put De Bruyne on the right. And you could get two strikers. And I think the striker. I mean, you could put Aguero and Rooney. I think it's a stronger 11 than putting Leroy Sané on the left.
I suggest play 4-3-3. Ronaldo off the left-hand side. Bring Mahrez into the right-hand side.
I kind of backed the Mahrez shout. You know, he was. I actually think he was on that level. He was that good.
I mean, Mahrez was.
If we're talking about part-timers, Mahrez was just a sub.
Bro, don't make me whip out. No, you're not going to believe me anyway. Why don't you whip out?
I am. But this will be misleading because I need to find a start.
Before you make this decision, just remember this team has to have one Muslim player in it. So you get that blood in your hands if you don't want to put Mahrez in this team.
Who else have I got to choose from?
That's it, bro. Fergie did not have any Muslim players.
Ali Al-Habsi.
Was Pogba Muslim?
Yeah.
Was? He still is, bro.
I don't know what I said was.
Yeah, are we concluding then? Are we going with that 4-3-3, Ronaldo off the left, Mahrez off the right?
I like that. No, but I like that better than putting Giggs in.
Mahrez is better than football than Giggs. Like,
if you say that's the conversation, like who's better at football, it's definitely Mahrez.
The internet will be our judge. This is going to the internet to decide.
Our team, eventual team, is Peter Schmeichel in goal, Kyle Walker right back, Rio Ferdinand,
Vidic,
Patrice Evra. Midfield three. This is a Manchester United team. Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, Kevin De Bruyne. Left wing, Ronaldo. Rooney in the middle. And Mahrez on the right. For clarification, the three City players we've got in the team are De Bruyne, Mahrez, and Walker. City fans are going to be vexed. We probably should have bought a City fan in
and
this.
Sir Alex is the manager, by the way.
And Sir Alex apparently is the manager, but that's just not true. He could be assistant manager, bro.
So true.
Anyway, Carlos Cruz can be set piece coach. So Pep can be the actual manager. Anyway, that's all we have time for in this episode. It's been another long one, but I feel like people are enjoying the long ones. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, new channel, all of that. As I mentioned earlier, tease the new series that's coming out. If you haven't watched Mastermind Final, go and watch that too. Plenty of watching to do. Get in the comments and let us know what you think. And if you're watching on Spotify, because the video also goes on there as well, I should just do this once, and then just keep replaying me saying this absolutely every single time. It's quite tiresome. And go and follow the pod as well. For now then, we'll see you on the next one.